What's the most out-of-touch thing you heard from rich people? Why did you take your car to get looked at? Just get a different one. I don't know why you waste your time with repairmen like that.
If you can't afford childcare, just hire a nanny. We love ours.
Back when I was in my early 20s, my beat-up old car broke down in my job's parking lot when I was about to drive home. I was getting paid $10 an hour as a pastry chef at a catering company. This was barely enough to cover my rent. I was obviously pretty distraught over my car dying. My boss, company owner, ended up saying to me, "Why are you so upset? It's just a car. Just buy another one." I couldn't even respond. I just looked at her like she was crazy.
When you're really stressed, just drop what you're doing for a while and go outside to get some sun by your pool. If you're feeling crazy, get Maria or Lupe or whoever your maid is to bring you a margarita.
A coworker asked me what bank had my safe deposit box. I said I didn't have a safe deposit box. She said, "But where do you keep your jewels then?" My boss was trying to stop me from taking 1 or 2 days off at a time because their accountant was complaining about the extra work or whatever. I explained I was using the days to take a Saturday and Sunday off here and there to visit my family for birthdays or whatever. She responded, "Wouldn't you rather take a whole week off so you can fly somewhere warm?" I just stared at her and said, "I make minimum wage. How am I supposed to pay for that?" She had no answer. Back when I worked in customer service, I used to talk to a lot of people, and when it came up that I lived in Florida, they asked me how I could live there with hurricanes. I would follow up with whatever weather they had. They then said, if there was a hurricane coming that they would leave immediately, and that I should too, because they're dangerous. I replied with, "I make close to minimum wage. How can I afford to leave? These people acting like evacuating for natural disasters is economical for everyone."
Rishi Sunak, British Prime Minister for the moment, is stinking rich and grew up in a pretty affluent family, went to a leading private school, Winchester and Oxford. Doing the interview rounds in the current election campaign, he was pressed by an interviewer about whether his family had ever had to give anything up. After much umming and ahhing, the only thing he could come up with was Sky TV, a British satellite TV service. He was lampooned for days about that one. He really is a colossal twat.
This happened at a high-end kids' clothing resale store called Once Upon a Child. The store only buys Nike, Adidas, or other well-known brand name kids' clothes, and only kids' clothes. Everything must be new or barely worn or they won't buy it. Usually when you bring in a bunch of stuff for them to buy, they'll only buy 10% of what you bring in. I once saw them say no to a beautiful custom-made dress that an Indian couple had spent $300 on for their only daughter. The reason was that it wasn't a brand name. At that store, some mom was selling a bunch of clothes and finding out what the store was taking and for how much. Her 8-year-old had wandered off into the store and came back with something she wanted to buy. The mom then said, "No, sweetie, we don't shop here. We only come here so poor people have nice things to buy."
Rich friend, just take Friday off work and fly out to visit me this weekend. I know it's last minute, but I'm sure there's seats available. Me. I don't think I can make this weekend. Rich friend. Oh yeah, I looked and saw it was only coach available. Don't be embarrassed. I don't blame you for not wanting to sit next to them. Me thinking, does this guy truly think that's why? Lowell, I just earn average money. An old, rich-titled landowner in the country I live in complained that he didn't have as much power and prestige as his ancestors. He hated that a mere bank manager, a commoner, had more power and respect in a small rural town than him. He yearned for the good old days where his family basically ruled the area and us commoners knew who our masters were. His equally wealthy landowning relative thought the same. His solution was to control local politics and politicians. He made sure everything happened to his advantage. He used that power to make sure that his hand-picked men were given council-related jobs, even if it meant firing the people already in those jobs. I knew a family who lost their home because of him.
I used to teach at a very expensive private school.
This school went all the way through from kindergarten to high school. I had to give some students who were about 9 years old a ride in my car one time. A spoilt set of twins, in particular, couldn't understand why my car was so old and poor-looking. Adults are apparently supposed to have new, expensive cars. My dad is an adult, and he drives a Rolls-Royce. He gets a new car every year. You should get a new car, too. Why don't you buy a new car? When I tried to explain that I was still in my first year of teaching and had only finished uni last year, so didn't really have money yet, the response was, "But our dad has always had new cars, even when he was at university." On another occasion, one of them smashed her brand new iPhone on purpose to prove to other students her dad would buy her a new one.
This was 5 to 7 years ago now, but I was out getting lunch on a treat day because broke, but still had a treat day now and again where I would go and get something off of the 99-cent menu at Wendy's for lunch. It wasn't much, but it helped keep the spirits up. Anyway, I was listening to the talk radio show, and it was talking about a story of some preacher, name has been lost to time at this point, who was begging his parishioners for money to be able to buy a new private plane because his current one was getting old. I was so flabbergasted because here I was getting a treat on a 99-cent menu, and he's complaining that his current private plane was too old and needed a new one.
I had a classmate whose parents never taught her to do laundry, nor did they pay for dry cleaning. They just bought new clothes for the whole house whenever they needed more. This was during home economics class when we discussed how to do laundry. She was unaware that washing clothes was a thing, and admitted to me that she was rewearing a pair of black leggings and asked if I noticed she had worn these last week. Like sweetness, I would have never guessed that's how you live. But if you're looking to thin your closet, I've been wearing my cousin's hand-me-downs dang near my whole life, and we are the same size. She told me they throw the clothes out when they're done being worn. I was stunned silent the rest of class. This isn't nearly as bad as a few of the stories on here, but I went to a private university overran by mega-wealthy trust fund kids. One day, a friend of mine from high school who went to the same university asked me to go to dinner with her and 2 friends who also went to our school. Said they were super cool and I would love them. The first girl, whose dad was a plastic surgeon on the Upper East Side, asked me what I did in my free time. Told her I had a part-time serving job. Gave me the worst look of disgust and went, "Ew! Why?" Needless to say, I never went out to dinner with those mutuals again.